Hello everybody, Andy here, and today I want to make a Warhammer 40k kill team tier list with you. I'm going to show you the raw effort that a content creator has to go through to make a YouTube tier list. It's outrageous, let me tell you. Filled with not just content, but effort. And I also want to show you where you do it, and I also want to show you kind of my thought process and then like how you begin to fill it out, and then we can have a little discussion about where I place everything. So let's have a look at the tier list. This is on just Google tier list maker. This site comes up. And then how do you get to this particular one? There's a little search bar, type Warhammer kill team. This will come up. Somebody, a blessed saint, hashtag blessed, just keeps this up to date. So huge thank you to them. It says who they are, but I currently can't see who it is. So thanks to them, let me tell you that right now. They've given us some lovely pictures and we can just go ahead and start putting things on the board. I would say, you know, where do you begin? How do you start a tier list? First things first, for me personally, I think a tier list based off of stats, probably like, just do a stat show then, because the stat shows are great and they're their own thing, but I like to think that a tier list is more of potential, right? So if you think, whatever your thought might be, Elucidian Star Striders have been nerfed and now like they're not placing anywhere, but you think that they're still good. You don't need to have the stats to reflect that. This is literally fanfic, okay? So with that, I hit my hand. With that said, we then have to get into how do you begin to fill it out? So most people agree that certain I like to place down my tent poles, okay? Felgor Ravagers, top tier. Chaos Cults, top tier. Warp Coven, bottom tier, as discussed. And Corsairs, mid tier. Now, Corsairs being mid tier is actually based off of stats. Corsairs are one of those really weird factions where everyone kind of wants them to get buffed, but like their win rates are just like bang on 50% since they were released. Everybody wants the extra operative so they can run a heavy gunner, but like, nope, not how it's going to work, because their win rates are so consistently mid. And it's also a good tempo. So with that done, we then just start placing things on the board. But of course, before we do that, if you're a subscriber to my channel and this is a subscriber only benefit, I'd like to give you a big double hello. Hashtag blessed, hashtag wholesome, hashtag double pleasantry. Genuinely, thank you so much for clicking on this vid. I just thought we'd have a bit of fun with this as I'm getting back into the hype of Kill Team, so thanks for stopping by. If you like what I do, very genuinely, Glass Half Dead would no longer be around if it wasn't for my Patreon supporters, so big thanks to them. If you want to go check out Patreon, that'd be awesome. Okay, let's get into it. So with our tent poles down, there's kind of two ways to go about it. Either just put everything as it comes up if you have a feeling for where they are, or continue to place your tent poles. So for me, I think, so what I'm going to do is place everything down as it comes, be nice and quick with it, and then shuffle at the end. Vet Guard, I still feel are strong. They're going up there. Hunterclade, love them. So Hunterclade being up there for me is one of those ones where it's like, they're not performing at that level in results, but Hunterclade are good. People not, you know, like Hunterclade are good. Commandos mid-tier, that's a weird one, because obviously we've just had Wallace, and like a couple of big placements for Commandos in general. So putting them mid-tier, like when they have been performing acceptably in results, odd. But I think that's probably where they belong. For a long time, for like a year, people were saying, oh, Commandos are trash. Commandos are strong, it's all good. Novitiates, ooh, I'm gonna put them mid, but I think that might be a team I revisit. Okay, Pathfinders, let's top tier them. Worm Cult, let's put them bottom tier for now. Void Dancers, easy top tier. They could have been a tent pole. Legionary, top tier. Blooded, I'm putting them mid because a lot of people love them. A lot of people are saying they're really good. I'm not really seeing that replicated hugely, but we'll go with mid and maybe revisit Phobos. I'm going to put them there, mainly because we need to fill that fill that section out, right? And although they've just had buffs, and I think they are strong, are they stacking up to other teams? Have they been given the tools? Not yet. Intercession. I'll put them top tier. I'll put them top tier. Breachers, top tier, obviously. I'm going to have to revisit this tier. Okay, I'm going to have to... It's getting a bit unwieldy up there, isn't it? Because I know Gellerpox are going up there as well. Let's put the Gellerpox up there. Is that everything that I think is top tier? Yes, it is. No, it's not. Oh, God. I'm going to have to reshuffle this quite hard. Okay. Kimband. God, You know, if I put Phobos second to last, then I guess I have to put Farstalkers there, but I feel like Farstalkers are B. Let's put them there. Let's wait. Okay. Starstriders. Gosh. This B tier and this S tier are not looking good so far, are they? Kassakin. Mid. Oh my god, Andy, you got to pick something. Hyrotech, finally. Something I could take a stance on. Up there. Exaction. Trash. Oh, The old Hand of the Archon. That is an interesting one. They haven't had the stats to show they're good, really, but a lot of top players like them. So let's put them there, and I'll revisit when I rejig. Hearthkin bottom tier, Imperial Agents. This is the final faction now. Let's put them there. Okay. Okay, so that's like step one of the tier list. I now have to change the S tier, because I think, and I want to really step back from stats and what we know and rethink a little bit. So I think that actually the S tier should only involve, because I think that there are some teams that are genuinely a cut above everything else. Obviously right now that's Colts. I think Pathfinders have to remain, but they're quite squishy. Okay, Void Dancers have to... Okay, let's set this up. Okay, so we've got Chaos Colts, lovely. We've got the Frenzy Boys. Yep, they deserve to be there right now. Not when played properly, they'd probably still be top tier. But right now, the Frenzy Abuse still works. They should be there. Void Dancers, nerf after nerf after nerf, but they're still there. I have to say it's because Fly is just so good. And the ability to not be shot to turn one, really strong team. Obviously, everything else they have as well, but if you have to like say, what is the issue? Those two things. Step one, you know. Pathfinders. They've obviously fallen out of favour, but I'm really trying to look past just they're not good because of Into the Dark. If you put Pathfinders on a slightly too open board, you're kind of screwed. Legionaries are also probably up there. They win so consistently in tournaments that removing them would be silly. However, and then this is where it gets a little bit odd. I don't think they're on the same level as the first four teams there. So logically, they have to be on the level down. Okay, let's do that. Let's start rejigging. Now, I also think that Intercession probably shouldn't be in the same list as Colts Felgor, Void Dancers, Pathfinders, even if they possibly have some good matchups into some of those, like Void Dancers, and in general are a very strong, simple, basic team. I don't think they're as good as those top four, but I still think they are top tier, but in a different definition of top tier. So once I've moved those two out of there, I'm much happier to move Breachers out of there, although I still think Breachers are really strong. The current slight dip in Breacher wins is because they took a nerf and top tier competitive players that were playing them are chickens, and as soon as things take a nerf, they run away to different factions. Oh, them's fighting words. Yeah, DM me after you pay me on Patreon. Thank you. I won't listen to you otherwise. Gellerpox, they have to stay up there. Gellerpox took a nerf, and again, a lot of competitive players moved away from them, but their win rate is still so dominating. I can't take them out of the S tier. They have to stay up there. Now, so I'm happy with that as an S tier. those 5 teams, 5 out of 27 factions, being the S tier, being the, if you take this to a tournament, you have a very strong chance of winning. Is that? No. Yeah, okay. But then Legionary and Intercession and Breachers all go into that as well. I feel that they are a cut above the rest of the models I just put there. Gosh. Problematic. Okay, anyway, but that's fine. I'm happy to say that although they fit that definition, therefore everything in S tier is above that. It is you are taking this faction to win in a tournament because you know that there is something about them that is genuinely busted. Cool. Okay, yeah. S tier. Love it. Now, again, I'm never looking at things like, because for example, you might have something where, whatever it might be, Intercession have a great matchup into Void Dancers. That doesn't mean Intercession should be above Void Dancers because Void Dancers might beat every other faction, right? So you got to take things in the fact that the game is ultimately at some level of rock, paper, scissors. Cool. So we then go to, I'm happy with Legionary, Intercession, Breachers because they are all top tier teams that win on a regular basis. However, I'm going to slide Inquisitorial Agents all the way to the top of A tier. So I've mentioned this in my previous video if you watched that. I think that Inquisitorial Agents are a problem faction that is going to be really hard to balance, but nobody knows yet because Chaos Cults are dominating all the talk. And if you're out there to be a competitive player and to win the game regardless of anything else, you should be running Chaos Cults. They are the best team. That's fine. Once they get nerfed, and they will, and people start poking around to try and find the next best team, I think a lot of people are going to be sitting with Inquisitorial Agents. And I think we're going to have to look at how they get nerfed. However, they are probably not in the same league as those top 5 factions. And I think that's inherent to the fact that they are ultimately, at the end of the day, 7 wound models. And like, if you just misplace a few models, you just get wrecked. Whereas Legionary, Intercession obviously have that inbuilt durability where they manage to just tank things, which makes them heavily overrepresented in stats, but they still, and that's why their win rates aren't as high as they probably should be. But that durability, that ease of play, very good, and they still win, they still perform. If you take either of these 2 teams, Legionary and Intercession, you have a good chance of winning. Possibly not if you get a few bad matchups, and again, not if anyone's running any of the S tier teams, but anything else, if you manage to dodge those, yeah, you could take a tournament, no problem. Breachers, oh god, I just hate Breachers. They're fine, I just don't like them. Nothing has happened. They need to get nerfed in Blitz again. I don't think they will. I think stats are going to reflect that top players have moved away from them. Therefore, the win rates are going to drop, and so they're not going to be retouched. I think Blitz is still a huge issue. Vet Guard, great team, very fragile. A lot of top players have moved away from them because it's 2 years old now, so we're not seeing great win rates, but it's still a really solid team. Just being able to move around 14 models on the board is just still a good thing that they can do. Hunterclade, stunners. Love the Hunterclade. Great mixed arms team, amazing melee, amazing shooting. How could it be anywhere else? Anyone placing Hunterclade outside of A tier, crazy. Hyrotech Circle, stunners. Amazing. Absolute bangers. 10-10 would bang. I think Hyrotech Circle are absolutely a top tier team, and as I said in the previous video, if I were to see, a thumbnail saying Hyrotech Circle win major, I'd be like, yeah, I see that, cool. I think they've got some great matchups. They struggle quite hard into some due to their lack of melee, but it is what it is. Disciple, oh, no, sorry, what are these called? Hand of the Archon. I was going to call them the Disciples of Yelindra, that's one of the operatives. Hand of the Archon, So this is a tough one for me personally to place because I haven't seen them do well. I know they have, and I know that a lot of people have talked about how busted they are, about the grenade, etc. But I haven't personally seen them played and like to a top level where they've done very well against a matchup I wouldn't expect them to do well. So I'm going to drop them to B tier because they haven't got those stats to back them up, and because I personally can't speak to them and like why they're good and how they actually perform. I'm gonna have to just play it safe, keep it in B. Corsairs, already discussed, they can stay there, but maybe they'll move towards the back, perhaps, or maybe they should stay there and I should move other things down. Commandos are a great team. 10 models, 12 models. I can't see Commandos not being B tier. Really good team. You've got good durability, you've got the ability to ignore damage, you've got the ability to increase your armor saves, you've got the ability to increase your lethality. Great team, really, really strong. Novitiates, right. This is where I'm going to have to start making some hard decisions. I need to fill up C tier. Novitiates are good, but I think that because of their fragility, they need to drop. They've taken a couple of nerfs throughout the game. I think they are still obviously good, but I think that as the game is advancing, there is, to a degree, a level of power creep. And that little bit of power creep means that they're having a lot of really tough matchups. They're not beating anything in the S tier. They're going to struggle real hard into everything in the A tier. This is a tough matchup, like for a team that has 7 wound models. Don't get me wrong, they they have an interesting number of like strats and abilities with Acts of Faith that can allow them to punch above their weight, but I think that their weight class is C tier. And again, I'm not saying they can't win, but I don't think they have the sauce. And if I've dropped them, I'm probably going to drop Blooded too. Boom. I think that the rise of Blooded happened primarily due to the fact that we had some really good players playing them. And then, as people saw that, oh wow, Blooded do have something in them, you had a lot of top players that thought there was some new tech that started to jump into them. And hey, Blooded token and being able to retain, auto-retain, really strong, we all know that. However, if you just dismember the Blooded team and get the guys that have the tokens first, they kind of just fall apart. And they're not good models without those Blooded tokens. Also, you've got the Enforcer, who's just a bad model that I think nobody really takes, which is probably needs to be retouched, but they won't be retouched because the stats are fine. Farstalker, Kimbad, I think Farstalkers are mid. I probably wouldn't move them. I think that's where they should be. I think it's a good team. A lot of people feel they struggle on Into the Dark, but if you ignore Into the Dark, good team, a lot of models, a lot of interesting things. Oddly, a bit of a difficult team to play, which might be why their actual win rates are relatively low. But because every model does a different thing, so there's actually quite a high cognitive load on the team. But they have so many models that you can always get past it. And of course you have cool things. Yeah, I'll keep them mid, because I think that if you took them to a tournament, if a top player took them, they could win a tournament. There you go. Star Striders, I'm also going to keep them mid. I've never really liked the playstyle of Star Striders, so I'm not going to talk about them too much. They're a bit of a miss for me in a similar way that the Hand of the Archon are a miss. Yeah. Kaskin are great though. I like Kaskin. I'm going to move them up. I think they're better than... Oh, are they... I'm going to put Kaskin at the top of B tier. Now, the reason I've put them there is because they have amazing matchups into the elite teams. Great matchups into a lot of the A tier. However, none of the S tier. So, rip. So you're not winning a tournament with Kazakin, but you can easily podium potentially, depending on the field, right? Hand of the Archon, I've already placed them because they got moved down. We go to the C tier. So obviously I just placed Novitiates and Blooded there, which leaves us with Phobos. I'm going to leave Phobos in C tier. I feel like they're not that bad. But I guess I've put them there, and I'm struggling. I think they have quite a few bad matchups, and they struggle to do multiple things at once. And unfortunately, some of their bad matchups are into the best teams. The most common teams. So they don't really have the sauce that they need to be chugging on to take out Intercession and Legionary. You can kill them, but you're not scoring points while you kill them. Or you can score points, but then you will die. And then, unfortunately, the other teams will beat them on points after killing them. I think that Phobos... Okay, yeah, fine. We then get to the D tier. I think all of that stays where it is. Obviously, I've just done a video where I talked about how each of these teams need to be buffed in certain ways. I almost want to move Wormcult out of there, though. I think Wormcult being there is silly. What was I smoking? It's because of Into the Dark. Obviously, I'm being a little bit Oh, I've moved the window. I apologise. Yeah, I should not do that. There you go. So obviously, I'm being a touch abstract when I place all of these things. So, for example, I'm saying, oh, for this one, it's only because of Into the Dark, so they should be higher. But Into the Dark is 50% of matches at some tournaments, or 100% of matches. Why would you make it higher when you're literally just saying, oh, you're going to lose 50% of your games? Guaranteed, and then you still have to work hard to win the other games, right? Yeah, good point. I get it. Thanks for pointing that out. All right. Okay. That's it. That's my tier list. That is my current specialist kill team tier list for what are we in? June? Basically the end of season 2. Before we get into season 3, before we get the proper rebalance patch, nerfs, buffs, etc. for Gallowfall and Ashes of Faith. I imagine those are going to be some very interesting buffs and nerfs. But you know what? They never super harshly buffed breaches. Well, they kind of did in a sense, but not enough really. They need to get back to Blitz, change that. Then I'll be happy with breaches. Yeah, and that's it. There you go. Well, everybody, at the end of my tier list, what do you think of this tier list of my placements? I'm open to any discussion on this. To be honest with you, I think that these placements work for me. But as I say, a tier list shouldn't be focused too much on the actual stats. It's about the potential. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that S tier? Do you think perhaps some of them don't belong there anymore? Do you think that I'm wrong on the C tier? If I'm honest, the C tier is the one that I'm most conflicted about. I really feel like Phobos should be higher. I don't, but I struggle to put them up too high because they have some really hard counters into the most popular teams. I'm sure a lot of people are going to say Blooded and Novitiate should be higher, and if you say that, I'll be like, yeah, I agree actually. I don't, but I suppose when looking at this, all I can really say, when considering these tiers, is that I would totally understand if anything from C tier and up won a tournament. I'd be like, cool, there weren't a certain number of factions, they managed to match dodge, they were the outrageously best player there, all understandable, all makes perfect sense. I can see that happening. I can see Phobos, Novitiates, Blooded, Wormcult all winning a large-ish tournament. However, if you then tell me, actually, yes, Phobos won and they had to play 5 rounds against Chaos Cults, suddenly I'll be like, oh no, that's literally impossible, that wouldn't happen, right? So yeah, I don't know, tough one. I think Star Striders should be in C tier, actually. So as you can tell, I'm conflicted. I've made this live for you because I think that watching the thought process of somebody that vaguely knows about the game is interesting instead of just revealing the tiers. So hopefully that's, you know, it's a little bit more interactive for you maybe. And that's it. If you made it to the end of the video, I'd like to give you a big triple hello. Wow, wasn't that so wholesome? Yes, yes it was. Oh wait, I can get out of this view. This view's horrible, isn't it? Woo, nice. Hey, I'd just like to say, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. It's the only thing that keeps me going, bro. Life is a struggle. Life is strugs. Am I right? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Anyway, hopefully you're enjoying the shorts that I'm throwing out this week. They're just some fun little mess around things because, I don't know, why not? As I say, I'm getting back into the love of Kill Team, so putting out content is part of how I express that interest. And finally, hey, I'd like to give a big shout out to all of my patrons. There is no doubt in my mind that if I did not have the support I have on Patreon, I would no longer have a channel. So a big thank you to them. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Hey, stay hydrated. Bye.